Hey guys, it's Tommy. I've been seeing some posts on Reddit of people complaining about the matches feeling one-sided, and I entirely sympathize. It's almost always felt this way, but the fatigue is setting in, and I'm just as tired of it as you are. So I figured I would make a quick video outlining why games feel like this, and what Omida could possibly do about it. Speaking of Reddit, just before we get started, I'm starting a new series where if I see someone making a post bitching about a game that they played, I review the VOD to see if they actually have valid points or if they were the problem in the game. The first video is live, and you can watch it here. Let's begin. So the first problem is obviously matchmaking. This has been covered at length within the community, but everybody seems to be missing the forest for the trees when it comes to why poor matchmaking is such a problem. The obvious is that teams of matching skill levels should be matched together, but the problem is twice as bad as it could be simply because Predecessor has insufficient onboarding. There is a difference between a bad player and a player that just doesn't know what he's doing. If you're in a gold lobby and you get matched with a bronze player or an unranked player, it's not just a matter of carrying their poor performance. A lot of the time, they literally have no idea what they're doing. This is why you see so many people posting on the Reddit about gold bugs, where they get reduced gold for minion kills, or why your auto-full jungler is just wandering around aimlessly, and so on. They don't know what a support crest is. They don't know what jungle buffs do. They don't know when or how to use hunt to secure objectives. As it stands right now, if you have one or more new players on your team, it's an automatic loss. I've been on the forefront of begging Omida to update their tutorial for literal years, and the bigger the game grows, the bigger the problem it is. Players have no way of educating themselves outside of going to YouTube, and the average player isn't going to do that if they just download the game on a whim. On top of a new tutorial, we desperately need some sort of training grounds queue. I understand that you have to play a few AI games before hopping into match-made quick play, but it's not enough. I'm thinking we need an even better system, like a mandatory in-depth updated tutorial, followed by only AI until account level 5 or so, then an exclusive matchmaking queue for account levels 6 to 15. This would keep new players from getting stopped by more experienced players that don't even want them in their games in the first place. Problem number 2 is the bounty system. It's not dynamic and it doesn't take into account the conditions of the game. Say your entire team is feeding, but you're built different. You're him. You can carry this shit on your fucking back. But even though your team is down 3 Fangtooths, 4 towers, and a prime, you still have a 700 gold shutdown. You're being punished for trying to carry your losing team, and it makes it way harder to make those risky plays to try and gain an edge in the match. I'm not saying that the losing team shouldn't have any bounties, I'm just saying it needs to be adjusted. The bounty system should exist as a comeback mechanic, not a punishment. Thirdly, the entire Fangtooth concept needs a rework. For starters, the second Fang buff needs to just be scrapped entirely. The map is just too small, and don't worry, we're going to talk about map size in a second, but adding movement speed to the winning team is just too strong a buff for that point in the game. Everyone thinks the third buff is OP, but while it definitely is overpowered, the second buff is where snowballs start to really gain momentum. Having to stack Fangtooth buffs in general is kind of fucked. Each Fangtooth should have its own buffs that you shouldn't have to kill a prerequisite amount to obtain. It's an unfair mechanic and unfun. If you're already down a Fangtooth or two, instead of fighting for a buff for your team, it feels like you're fighting to deny the enemy their upgraded buff, especially since the first buff feels so underwhelming. Coming from someone who criticizes Omida for taking a lot of inspiration from League, ironically their dragon system would be something I wouldn't mind seeing in Predecessor. And while we're at it, we gotta name them something else so that we stop confusing Fang with Fang. Please guys, it's time. Moving on to another big issue that the community already talks about all the time, map size. I'm not gonna talk too long about this because of how much conversation has already been had about it, but yeah, it's too small. Rotations are too quick from lane to lane, and from jungle to lane. Obviously a new map is being worked on, but in the meantime, here's something that could help that hasn't been talked about. Make minion waves stronger. After around 2 items, most heroes can clear a wave in less than 10 seconds, making them a chore rather than a central game mechanic. It's another form of snowball. If you get ahead, then you can clear waves faster than your opponent to rotate, and this leads to deathballing in 5-man groups running around the map. If minion waves are stronger, then while you can still clear faster than your opponent if you're ahead, it would still take longer, making the rotation seem less constant. Not only would this make laning more interesting, it also allows for more interesting jungle strategies like invades, because your opponents will have to think twice about abandoning their lane to come cover the jungle. And as far as jungle minions go, they should be stronger as well. Every jungler can clear pretty damn fast while staying at decently high health, and that just makes it easier for them to snowball off of ganking over and over. Add to that the fact that the majority of junglers can solo objectives in the early stages of the game, meaning no lane has to sacrifice pressure for objectives and things can get out of control pretty quickly. The last thing I want to cover on this topic is how items work in Predecessor. We all know that items cover way too many categories in terms of stats, but my biggest issue with them is that the balance of where power in an item comes from is heavily weighted towards the passives that come with completing full items. The stats lead to snowball effects, sure, but some of these passives are just ridiculous. You can go from being slightly behind in a matchup to hopelessly lost with just one item. Obviously, completed items and the resulting power spikes should feel impactful and powerful, but a lot of them really need to be toned down. Granted, playing around power spikes is a core skill of the game, but half of you are fucking retards that don't understand that, and making it easier on you makes it easier for me to carry you. I don't know how to end videos. Bye bye.